All right, so one of the development tools we've been working on for McSpacebiff is a cell snap system. You might have seen something like this before in games like Fortnite, and that's actually the main source of inspiration. So let's hop on over here, and I can show you a quick example of how their functionality works. It's very, very similar to the build out that we have now. So when you drag in an object in Unreal, without the cell snap, what it does is it uses the grid system, and you can use the grid system, however many units you want, and it's going to select a grid system for that individual object. So if you were to duplicate it and move out from that point, it's all going to be on that same 4x4 grid, which is all fine and dandy, but it kind of forces you to work on a 4x4 system. But more importantly than that, it doesn't line up if you were to drop something at distance. So, for instance, if you were to drop something way, 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 way over here, it's not going to line up to this snap kit. I mean, it might, but the chances are pretty slim. And say you want to build like a walkway and connect the two buildings, chances are you're going to have to move either all of the building over here or all of the building over there, and all the items and props and enemies in it, and it's just going to be a bit of a hassle. So by using a cell snap system, whenever you build something anywhere on the map, it's going to line up. And that's really, really handy for rapid iteration. So if you look here, it has this kind of rubber banding effect, kind of refusing to allow the kit to move anywhere but the pre-designated world grid. We don't show the world grid in ours, but it works very, very similar. And what's great about this is if you build all of your items to work on the same snap kit, you always know they're going to fit together. So let's hop back over to McSpacebiff and I can kind of show you ours in action. So let me pull up a wall here. As you can see, it works very, very similar to how Fornite 1 works. And even if you turn off the grid, as long as the cell snap is enabled, it's going to rubber band into place. And we can designate the grid to any size, but I think we have it set to, I believe, 512 by 384, which is just a better height for walls, and it just overall looks a little bit better. So I'll show you what I'm talking about in action. So say you build a base, way off the distance, but for our purposes, we'll just build it right over here. It's on the cell snap. You're thinking, all right, I want to build this base. I want to test it out. And, once it's tested out, feels good. And you want to build a pathway over to this base over here. So, you start duplicating things or, dragging in bridge pieces. And because it is on the same cell snap, they line up. And this is really, really, really useful because you can just reuse these pieces over and over and over. And everything we're using is built to this grid system. So you could change out, say, the materials, or just bring in a new kit entirely. And it makes for very, very, very fast iterations of something that looks half decent, which is very important for a team of two like ourselves. We don't really have the luxury of spending a lot of time building out a level, testing it, and then going back in and then manually adding all that art. So having a system like this is going to be kind of a lifesaver in the long run and going to allow us to build much larger worlds. Then you have all these pieces like organic and the Unreal terrain system that you can kind of mesh together, and it makes for a pretty interesting environment if you put the time in. But yeah, overall that's how it functions, and that's the inspiration for it. From what we saw, there wasn't really anything on the marketplace that used that style of rubber banding cell snap, so we went and developed it ourselves, and so far it's saving us dozens and dozens of hours when it comes to like building a level. Right now this seems pretty simple, but we have a lot more when it comes to materials and pieces in our roster. I think we, for example, we have like half pieces, we have ramps, any number of items that you can think of, 45-degree angles. That's not to say we're limited to using this cell snap system, but for rapidly iterating on human bases. I think this is going to be a very good fit for us, and similar style of blueprint for other people's games. I think it could be pretty useful. So let us know if you have any questions or just want to know more about the game. And yeah, thanks for watching.